Bowser, King Koopa, the authoritarian turtle with a penchant for princess napping. His very name strikes fear into the heart of man and mushroom alike, and he's also pretty good at figure skating. And folks, I hear you. I hear your questions constantly. They come to me in my dreams like a prophet receiving visions from an angry god. But I don't think Nintendo would actively create a war criminal and then allow him to sit in the backseat of a go-kart with a baby. And could I really call this an Unraveled if I didn't spend a whole day reading 224 pages of dense legalese for no good reason? Of course I couldn't. Of course I could. God has cursed me for my hubris, and my work is never finished. Is there an analogous military that is somewhat bloated, often antagonistic, and seems to be the only thing that the leadership cares about funding? Unfortunately, I couldn't find any real-life examples of this. So I'm loosely basing it on the US military. What better way to show your dedication than to be literally shot from a cannon? But more than that, he has this tender leadership quality that makes him not only respected, but loved by his peers. And then above him is a fucking T-Rex. All warfare is based on deception. If your opponent is of choleric temperament, seek to irritate him. Steal their hats. When I die, will I become Dry Brian? Is a living Bowser wet Bowser? Notice that I did not include Morton Koopa Jr. because despite what he has written in his memoirs, he's never actually been active duty, and he's a valor-stealing bastard. Why do Piranha Plant have bone in it? It's the stews. Strollin' stew. Strollin' stew. Soarin' stew. Soarin' stew. Swipin' stew. Smolderin' stew. Mario is a war criminal. Mario has committed at least 5 war crimes. Oh, those legs are way too human! Those legs are... Oh my god, those legs look like I could have those legs! Please don't show that to me anymore! Please get it out of here! Stop! And I am willing to wield this Bible as a paladin wields a holy sword so that I might excise sin out from the Sonic cannon! I'm sorry, that was a lot. I was a bit too intense. I'm gonna tone it down a little bit. He and his mother and 5 sisters live underneath a scraggly hedge beside the local burger joint and subsist on burger scraps, milkshakes, and the occasional slug or bug that crawls their way. They are a poor but happy family. From these lines, we know that 4, Sonic's family lives in an actual hedge, which is I guess why they're called hedgehogs, and 5, they have a very similar diet to me. Unfortunately, Sonny's dad died when Sonny was just a few days old after falling into a gurgling, festering vat of toxic waste dumped in a nearby pond. What? The potential energy I shall release into a holy flame so that I might burn out the blasphemy from Sonic's modern iteration!
I think we should probably just take a couple minutes just like...
Okay.
Do you need water or anything?
Water, yeah, I think that'd be good. He turns into Dr. Robotnik after he is fused with the powers of the Chaos Emeralds and a hard-boiled egg. Not a joke. Every time you go 3 days without shampooing. I get it. Look, sometimes, you know, the shampoo has sulfates and that can damage your hair. We all have different scalps. But that's in the Emeralds too! I hear you saying, Brian, there's no evidence that Sonic doesn't think of Robotnik as a father figure. And to that I say bullshit! I have never seen him cry after defeating Robotnik. I have never seen him hold the lifeless body of his father figure and say, I am sorry. It had to turn out like this. I am sorry. Let Sonic cry over the loss of what could have been, Sega, you cowards! What are the ramifications of a Sonic the Hedgehog game based on the Bible? Sonic CD, shitty. Sonic Mania, trash. Sonic Hedgehog 2, more like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, much of a dunce, to include the quilting circle that is so integral to Sonic's backstory. And before you get upset with me saying, Brian, aren't you just starting a cult? Look at this question answered by Cute Girl Core. Technically speaking, religions and cults are the same thing. I haven't been tainted. I have never beheld the false Sonic. Only someone blind to the modern blasphemies of the Sonic franchise eyes could see as clearly as I. Because if a hedgehog could commune with the dead, be resurrected, run with infinite energy, and have his gospel prophesy the future, then either Sonic is a god or could kill God, and I do not care if there is a difference! You're telling me that humans figured out how to make a gun that turns you into goo, and yet they haven't made any new music? That's garbage, Todd. What I'm saying is that if 80% of humans died today, in 100 years, we'd still have Old Town Road, but it would have a few more remixes. Even in the apocalypse, you can't escape the guy who will bring his guitar to your party. Thank God the bombs went off before Wonderwall. Ice cream truck version of Pop Goes the Weasel, which, for reasons I don't understand, always makes me cry. Even an SOS signal gets more traction if it comes with a little ditty, and I learned that from Rihanna. Jingles. In other words, propaganda. Fuck the man and fuck the beat he made you drum to. Playing Pop Goes the Weasel whenever one of your pet weasels died when you were a kid. That's why. When Green Day was writing Good Riddance, they weren't thinking, some sitcoms are gonna have to end someday. If you can carry a gun, you can carry a tune. How else are we gonna know how many beers Janice drank last week, or how far Kevin's head went flying when a super mutant tagged him with a fire hydrant? What I do with the information about how many beers Janice drank? Tell me. There's no song for when your swamp itch clears up, but there should be. Yeah, your fists are used for melee, but that leaves your feet and your elbows open to fucking jam. Who really has the time to read all those books? I do. Apparently. Skyrim Book Report. I had two reactions to this. My first reaction was, wow, this is an incredible amount of world building. To write 300,000 words that could essentially be skipped over while still having the full Skyrim experience, it's amazing. And it's a level of world building that could only exist in an interactive medium. And for that, I commend you, Bethesda. My second reaction to this was, what the fuck? Hey, Todd? What the fuck? History's so boring! Shoo! Get out of here! It happened in Second Planting, PD 1220, that Lord Ichlandam, on a journey in the western uplands, came to Nahulift, and Protector Ankard and General Klunthunch met him there, and Dalen Zanchu also came to the meeting. They talked together long by themselves, but this only was known of their business, that they were to be friends of each other. They parted, and each went home to his own colony. Riveting! We have eh. What genre is eh? Eh! We're done with these now, so. Now you might say, Brian, what gives you the right to say what is good fiction? I read all 338, you dingus! Okay, some thieves can't read. If you can't read, get someone to read this book to you. It'll make more sense then. Who doesn't love a little erotic lizard fiction?
Ooh, come on, baby.
There is no way you can manage to maintain that level of erotic tension for 7 acts. That's like 5.5 hours. As a person who has done 1 or 2 plays in my life, that's just unfeasible, okay? I'd like to see them try. I would like to see them try.
Ooh, come on, baby.
Should you read every book in Skyrim? No! What? How could you watch this whole 10+ minute video and think I would say anything? What? No! I bore this burden for you! Don't read them! No!
Please, don't read them all.
Don't read them!
You can read the top 5, that's fine.
How dare you jettison my gift! Don't read them! No! That's not a monster. That's a bird. Anything unique can be sexy. Look at Benedict Cumberbatch. Can this monster get it? I don't want to know what that mouth do. You should be wary of anyone who builds their personality around swords. The Kioma demon hangs out in mirrors and jumps out and scares you, and I don't need any more reason to be afraid of looking at myself in the mirror. They say that eye contact is important. But maybe not this much. I do think we need a sexy skeleton. Jerry Seinfeld taught me that through love, all things are possible. The next monster is Evil Force, and I want you to just go ahead and wipe away all preconceived notions. Obviously, the name makes it sound bad. It also is terrible. I'm just not into toilet stuff. I mean, most of these monsters are pretty okay. They're not the most Surprise! I lulled you into a false sense of security. Everyone thinks the Mothman's pretty sexy. The actual Jersey Devil comes from an idea of a woman who cursed her 13th child, being like, oh God, I gotta have another baby. And then it came out and then it grew like a goat's face and wings. And I just think we need to start thinking of New Jersey in general as sexier. And this might be the way to do that. His name translates to goat sucker. Do I have to explain? They will tell you when they're upset, and also when your parents are gonna die. Slogra doesn't have a folklore or mythology associated with it. I got nothing for you. If you're not attracted to this, you're wrong. Of course he's gonna be fucking evil. If you name your child's what's up with people in Castlevania naming their children dumb shit? Seriously, Alucard? Dracula, you can't just name your child your name backwards. I'm not gonna name my son Nairb. Bone Pillar. And if that doesn't make you happy, how about the Bone Dragon? But I really do think we should include Hyena with gun. That hyena can get it. They didn't choose to be born. Who does choose to be born? Right? Who chooses? If you'll excuse me, I'm going to go throw myself into the ocean now. Kirby eats when he gets hungry and sleeps as soon as he grows tired. Does this sound like an apex predator? He gains no energy nor pleasure from consuming these things. Instead, he just lets them disappear. Gone from this plane of existence. So, what the fuck? Let me take a moment to move over to a different board so I can show you Kirby's origin story. There's nothing here! What did you notice? That's right. For the entire time I was drawing this, I wasn't interrogating the true nature of Kirby! How can this sentient garbage bag accomplish so much? Let me tell you. I don't know. I literally have no clue how this dumb fucking orb can have so much power. I can't think in here. I'm going outside. How do I get outside? Consider for a moment Moby Dick. You might receive this book in your English class and say, hell yeah, a big ol' whale? I can't wait to see Ahab level up and hit that big boy right in his weak points. And sure, he puts his harpoon up in Moby D's flanks, but spoiler alert, Ahab gets got, even though he's been grinding for like years, and Pale Whale's just a dipshit fish with a thing for sailor feet. And so you say this to Miss Mahoney, and she's like, Brian, don't you get it? The whale is a metaphor for something. And then you write that on your final exam, and you pass the class. He would make that energy by splitting average temperatures into hot temperatures and cold temperatures. I'm choosing to think of that as something like nuclear fission, as opposed to choosing to think of it as dumb. Hornet Man. We've done some shit to bees, y'all. I'm gonna put Aquaman in front of Pump Man because Pump Man's flavor text explains that sometimes he'll volunteer to wash off graffiti and no one likes a narc. Hard Man. Flame Man. He generates thermal power, but also he's powered by thermal power, which seems recursive and also impossible. Serious. Snake Man. Those were software built with the specific intention of being mean online, and that's just Twitter. Now, let's get into the fun part. It's me. He's not a sentient murder robot, he's a sentient picture frame. Don't let me suck more than I can handle. So you know what? Actually, I take this back. He's more important than Chill Man. Okay, that's fine. No! Acid Man was built to be a chemist. What's he good for? Titrations? That's a chemistry joke. Sharkman does not need to exist. Oh, we've been doing this for like 5 hours. Here's the big rule of thumb. Magicians are always evil. Torchman was built to teach kids about fire safety in the woods, which is kind of like if Smokey the Bear was constantly on fire. Let me tell you about Burnerman, who was made, and I quote, to bring harm to natural environments. Technically not murder, definitely bad. Some asshole thought, hey, you know that thing that we throw against a wall many miles per hour every single day, multiple times a day? You know what would make that better? If it could feel pain. What? No one wants to hear my opinion, which is why I am not expressing an opinion, I am stating a fact. That's a fool's errand, Brian. You are a fool. They called me a fool, but do I look like a fool to you? That's over 15,000. You can't make me do that legally. That's not in my contract, right? They can't legally make me do that. Since they were released this year, they are still technically in the running. Fight me. The game frames mainframe. But how many frames does a gamer game in the game frame mainframe? If you have 200,000 frames per game and you have 200,000 gamers, that's 200,000 gamers that have only had 1 frame per game per gamer. And that is no good, is it? Is it? I'm a little confused now. And that's by using the mom variable, which stands for my own mother. Is this game art? And when you start asking if something is art, then you really end up asking, why should we even be defining what is and isn't art? And the only thing worse than the discourse about our game's art is the discourse about the discourse of our game's art. Look, art is experiential, and that's a beautiful thing that should be allowed to flourish without having some pseudo-scientific proof of greatness thrust upon it, which is why I'm not proving greatness. Instead, this part of the formula is so revolutionary because I am proving art. So let's go ahead and throw this into... Shit, I ran out of space. You know what, this part wasn't that important. We're just gonna cut it. Hey, Brian, what in the heck is this Fortnite thing? It gives you a common ground to chat, and you really haven't chatted with Uncle Devin in a while. You should call him more often. He wants to show you his Civil War books and his collection of swords. Oh my god, that is so hot! Oh my god! It was supposed to be prop water, Pat! Oh, I probably just ruined this mic too. Jesus, Pat, I told you it was prop water. God! I'm okay. For those who can superbly smash, there is no better place to make a friend than on the battlefield. Hi, I'm Brian David Gilbert, safety fan and bureaucratic wunderkind. Please address me as such. So let's go ahead and find every OSHA violation in every stage in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And unfortunately, there isn't an OSHA guide to Bloodsport. No contractor or subcontractor contracting for any part of the contract work, that's a real line. Walk into an unknown space. I want the first question on your mind to be, am I safe to smash? This is just a visual aid. They're all blank. I wouldn't waste paper like that. Unfortunately, this also meant I had to cut the entirety of subsection R, Steel Erection. And I need to know where Donkey Kong pees. A lot of these stages need more airflow, better ventilation, but in PictoChat 2, there is too much ventilation in the form of this man, who blows air. Who hired this man? I don't want him on my job site. The large airships flying around you in these stages are not only electrical equipment, but they are designed to harm and kill you. Violation. I don't care how good you are at surfing, Donkey Kong. And although Super Smash Bros. Ultimate does allow up to 8 players, none of them will save you. If you are dropping waste materials more than 25 feet, you need to be putting it in a chute. Clock tower. It is all debris that is falling infinitely, and it should be in a chute. I couldn't give a shit about death. You should have removed that stained glass first. In Gamer, your mom fires lasers at you when she sees you gaming. I'm not here to discuss her qualifications, but you are not allowed to fire those lasers at employees. Just let me game, Mom. I know that ladder is there for aesthetic purposes, but that is a violation, Suzaku Castle! You cannot hide your ladders from me! I mentioned that every serious violation of OSHA is $12,934 in fines. I forgot to mention that every repeated or willful violation is $129,336 per violation, or $17,034,078 in fines. Which is why I am sending you this video, Masahiro Sakurai. Surely you can't afford $17 million in fines. I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. OSHA doesn't need to hear about all this evidence I've compiled. All you must do is send me $50 US. I'm in a real tough situation right now and I just need to get through the month. Please. So we have adult Link, child Link, basketball. Here's some issues with canon over here in basketball timeline. He does his thing and then he goes sailing and then he crashes and has a dream and then dies in the ocean. And then it's another existential crisis, but this is my favorite one because instead of having an existential crisis and then going to have to save the world from a moon or having an existential crisis and hanging out with pirates, he just gets really into fashion in Triforce Heroes, which is what I plan to do in my midlife crisis. You might be wondering, where does Breath of the Wild fall? In which timeline? Is it basketball? Is it child? Or is it adult? Well, guess what? It's all three. Nintendo couldn't figure it out, so they decided to just put it in all of the timelines, which isn't how time works, to my knowledge. And also, it was Twilight Princess Picross. Midna wanted to... She thought Picross would help him beat Zant. And there were only 4 dragons in this one. Why? Because the other Link already defeated the other ones. There are 3 other dragons in Skyward Sword, and they were nice because they learned that Link would fuck their shit up. And remember what I said before about how it went to Twilight and then to Shadow? What comes after that? That's right, it's darkness, baby. I cut one of the titles in half. Clayton, we have to start over. Tingle exists in actually 2 different timelines, and he also exists in every timeline because Tingle is the perfect evolution of humanity. Over here in Basketball timeline, we've got Ripened Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love. I'm gonna put Hyrule Warriors over here, and I'm gonna call this the Time Break.
The time break.
But you did forget that Ganondorf got resurrected and then the whole world flooded. So that's on your conscience. I've put these 3 Super Smash Brothers after Hyrule Warriors in the Time Break. The Time Break. And while we are hanging out in the Time Break, Sonic's here. Sonic's in the Time Break, baby. Link's Awakening happens within Link's dream, so that means that Captain Rainbow might be happening within Crazy Tracy's dream. So it's very much like Inception, and that means that Joseph Gordon-Levitt exists in the Zelda timeline. That's a joke. Joseph Gordon-Levitt doesn't exist in any timeline. But what about the Time Break?
The time break.
I told you that I would explain the Time Break, didn't I? And I'm gonna explain it right now. Why does no one understand the Time Break except for me, Brian David Gilbert? Why am I the only scholar in Time Break studies? I'll tell you why. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition happens outside of the timeline entirely, similarly to Breath of the Wild. It exists in all of the timelines because Ganondorf's soul gets split into multiple pieces that go into different timelines. And again, that's in the story itself. Link figures out that there are multiple timelines in this time, okay? And then he defeats the thing and he goes into existential crisis mode, just like over here, and like over here, and like over there. But what does he do when he knows that all these timelines exist? He goes and he plays Super Smash Brothers with all of his friends in every single timeline. That's how Super Smash Brothers Ultimate can exist, because it's everyone, all the time, everywhere, and also Sonic. But the Time Break still doesn't fit in. It's still by itself over here, right? Okay, the Time Break doesn't have a space. Link knows about every timeline, and he's done hanging out with his friends here in the Time Break. So what does he do? He decides to settle down, get a real job. And what can he do better than anyone else? That's right, he knows every location in every timeline. I'm talking location, location, location. He gets his real estate license. He buys up every land, he consolidates every timeline, and pushes it all into one space. How does he do it? Legend of Zelda Monopoly. The most important Legend of Zelda game of all time. The one that makes Breath of the Wild make sense. Reggie, take fucking notes. I just saved your ass with Monopoly. This is the pin that holds the entire Zelda timeline together. You made me use Monopoly But judging by the wording on a few of these requests, it seems like I have a
Tall task.
ahead of me. But could I possibly help you understand the gargantuan, magnificent, epic storyline of Kingdom Hearts? You sweet summer child, you babe swaddled in the cashmere blanket of ignorance, you ask too little of me. He sent out a 7-page memo that basically broke down all the big ideas from Campbell's book into 12 simple steps to writing good stories. Did the memo work? I don't know. Why don't you ask Timon and Pumbaa? They're from The Lion King. That was a movie that Disney produced. A lot of people think it's a great movie. In Star Wars, this is when Luke goes into the cave and faces off against a shadow version of himself. And in Kingdom Hearts, this is when Sora goes into Hollow Bastion so he can fight Riku, who's actually being possessed by Ansem, who is the heartless version of Terra Xehanort, who was originally Terra but then was possessed by Xehanort before him. Same thing. Die-hard fans will get upset with me if I say that this doesn't really matter to Sora's overarching story. But I'm gonna say it anyway. So this historical background is gonna just be up here, and all of that knowledge is just gonna kind of bleed immediately into Kingdom Hearts 1.
Nope. You gotta do Birth by Sleep. It's a prequel.
But is Sora in it?
No. No Sora.
Who's this guy then?
That's Vanitas.
Why? And then we start 5 immediately at Kingdom Hearts 2, which will begin with Sora going into... What do you mean, nope?
There's 2 more.
Once again, I seem to have neglected a few interstitial pieces of Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories, and also 358 Days Over 2, which is a totally normal title. I'm gonna call this 4.5 Remix. This is a pivotal part of the hero's journey when the hero's shadow self goes off and eats ice cream. And since this oblong actually crosses through the hero's journey twice, we're gonna make this easy to remember and call it the Hero's Memories of the Hero's Journey Double Cross Oblong, or HMHJXXO.
No.
Fuck! All right, assholes. I have no more space here, so I made you a data cube. Are you happy? The data cube is that thing where the hero goes on a journey into his inner thoughts and finds some data that an old guy put in him. It's that thing that happens in the hero's journey. There's another part of the hero's journey, and it's called the Dream Drop Bucket, and it's where you put the dream drop distance until you need it later, and hopefully you won't. But I don't know, I feel like I'm just missing something, because he gets Norded. Possessed by Xehanort before. I forgot about the villain's journey. The villain's tridecagon. The villain's tridecagon is definitely the key, the tridecagon of villainy. This is a 13-sided shape that goes one further than the dodecagon of the hero's journey. What do you do after you find out about that power? You Norda boy. Time to get real into unethical science. It's time for stage 10. You develop an organization to trick young boy into committing heartless genocide in order to create a new pseudo version of that great power you discovered back in stage 3. And then you fail again. As Utada Hikaru would say, simple and clean. So the next time someone tells you, I don't understand Kingdom Hearts, you say, hey bucko, I think what you don't understand is basic storytelling. Basic storytelling. Welcome to Unraveled Season 2. You can tell it's a new season because I've grown a mustache and cut my hair. Oh, I'm obviously just kidding. These are both fake. I know how much it would disappoint my friends if I changed my appearance. I'm just kidding again. I'm not your friend, and you have no say over what I do with my body. Have you ever thought about the term boss in a video game before? Those terrible enemies have the same title as the people you'll be working for the rest of your life. What a silly coincidence! Dark Souls is known for wildly difficult bosses that prove themselves on the battlefield. But can they prove themselves in a more difficult setting? The Lordran Hills Business Park and Commerce Center. It's across from the mall. Challenging Seath the Scaleless before putting on your Ring of Sacrifice, you absolute fool, you child. And the 5th and final C can really just go to town on a motherfucker. Slices! Dices! Big old crunchers! What can I do to be better than the Royal Rat Authority, who vomits acid all over the floor multiple times a day and is still considered a pretty okay boss. Aim higher. It's important to have a boss that recognizes their flaws, but it's bad if your boss locks herself in the conference room and flogs herself eternally. I booked the conference room for 3. I need to get in there. This is perfect for the employee that likes to, you know, fuck around on Reddit all day and then send one email at 5 and then peace out. I don't know what that's like. I've never done that. Dragon Rider. This dude doesn't have a dragon. His job title is obviously false. It's like if I got promoted to guy who had an okay time in high school. Centipede Demon. He nasty. All of his plans sound more like schemes, but he does know the basis for Maroon 5, and they've been looking for someone with like really good hand dexterity, and he's noticed that you've got something good. So if you Aldia, Scholar of the First Sin, is constantly testing you because he sees great things in you. But dude, not everything has to be a test. This is a GameStop. Dragon Slayer, Ornstein, and Executioner Smau get shit done. They are a power couple that isn't sanctioned by HR. They didn't fill out the paperwork. It makes everyone very uncomfortable. There was a lot of PDA. And it is weird. Dude, you gotta wear more than a loincloth to work. Asylum Demon, Stray Demon, and the Demon Fire Sage all have a move called Butt Slam. The Covetous Demon is always taking credit for the work that you're doing, and he steals your lunch from the fridge every day, even though I label it Dave. Under no circumstances should you be in a work setting and described as gaping. The Duke's Dear Freya. Yeah, she's a big spider, but she's the Duke's dear Freya. The Duke loves her. When has the Duke led you astray before? Come on, man. The Duke loves her. Give her a chance.
Do it for the Duke.
Do it for the Duke. If you kill him, you might become him. And that's a very clear path to promotion. It's not a great path to promotion, but it is a clear one. When you smash together everyone's stinky, rotting corpse, you can move mountains together. The best boss is you. And all of your dead friends.